What's up, everybody? It's CSNazo, and welcome to something I'm hoping to make a weekly thing, a little review of Monday Night Raw, the June 13th, 2017 edition. Again, I'm hoping to make this a weekly thing, but do not quote me on that. Quick update to let a lot of people know what's going on with the channel before I get started, and I know a lot of you are probably here for the review, so I'll make this as quick as possible. I am looking to record more stuff. However, my capture card is acting up a bit, and I think I'm gonna have to go get a new one. And I still want to make content, so I figured I'd start doing this. Make this kind of like a regular content thing. Anyway, let's get to the review. I have like 6 pages of notes here. This is actually, oh dear. Okay, so the show starts with a video package from last week's episode where Samoa Joe choked out Paul Heyman. Something I should probably point out is that I actually don't watch I normally don't watch the WWE weekly TV shows. I usually just watch the pay-per-views and that's it. So I may be lost on a few things. Anyway, after the video package, Paul Heyman and Lesnar comes out, and Paul comes out. He says that this was not personal before, but now it is personal because you put your hands on Brock Lesnar's manager, so now Lesnar's fucking pissed. And he also stated that that Joe was not a proud Samoan warrior like everyone else. I mean, like every other Samoan wrestler in the WWE, because he said they all know each other and they're all proud of each other's accomplishments, but Samoa Joe is the one they cannot say the same about. Now this pisses off Samoa Joe, and he actually comes out to the ring. Paul Heyman just gets out of there, and Joe and Lesnar actually just stare each other down for a little bit. Joe headbutts Lesnar. They start to brawl, and then Kurt Angle sends out security. And when security doesn't work, he sends out the Raw roster, basically all the jobbers and all the mid-carders and all the tag team stuff. And they had some struggles, but they did manage to separate the two. As boring as I may make it sound, I actually really liked this segment. I had problems believing that Samoa Joe was going to be at the same level as Lesnar. I knew that this was going to be a good match before I saw it, but at the same time, there has to be that believability factor in it. Yeah, I actually really like that segment. That's something about the show, actually. Starts out really good, but as the show starts to go, like, it gets less and less interesting for me until eventually I'm just really pissed off and I want the show to end. But let's continue. Elias Sampson comes out, sings a song about how much Florida sucks. Then he says, I have Ambrose's number, so we're going to have a match tonight, and I'm going to kick his ass. He does this all in song form, actually. Like I said, I haven't been watching Raw on like a weekly basis. I've barely been watching it, period. So, from what I've heard, like, this is something he's been doing regularly since he's been brought up to the main roster. But I don't know, I'm kind of iffy on it. Maybe it'll grow on me. I don't know. I'll give it a chance. But then Dean Ambrose comes out to the ring because, Elias Sampson versus Dean Ambrose, that's a match that's happening tonight. And they show a replay of The Miz as he celebrates becoming the Intercontinental Champion again. And basically what happens is that The Miz is thanking Maurice for setting up the party. He's like, I love everything, I love the bear. And Maurice is like, I didn't bring the bear. And I don't know why I'm describing what happened on the replay. Basically, The Miz destroyed a grandfather clock that Maurice got for The Miz as like a congratulations on becoming IC champion gift. And The Miz destroyed it, thinking that it was Dean Ambrose hiding in a big box. it was not, and later in the segment, Dean Ambrose is revealed to be one of the cameramen, and Dean Ambrose beats the crap out of The Miz. Anyway, on to the match, Elias Sampson versus Dean Ambrose. I don't... this match wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything special. I can't really... I swear, when I saw this match, there was, like, one spot in the match I actually really liked. But I can't think of it right now, so I'm sorry. Anyway, The Miz comes out and actually interferes in the match on Sampson's behalf. And, I'm already out of breath. I take more detailed notes later. At first, the interference doesn't really work at all, but then Dean Ambrose gets really distracted by The Miz to the point where he is almost unable to enter a 4 count, 10 count outside the ring, because he goes outside the ring. He's like, I'm going to kick the crap out of The Miz. Goes back in the ring. And then Elias Sampson, I'm going to assume, hits him with his finisher. Haven't seen much of Elias Sampson when it comes to him wrestling. Yeah. This, I didn't hate this match, but it wasn't very memorable, but I also don't remember it being offensive at all. So, yeah, forgive me for that. Alright, and then we have Goldust. I have absolutely no idea what happened between Goldust and RTruth. All I know is that Goldust did apparently Goldust and RTruth are feuding now. And based on what I've seen of Goldust in this promo, I like this. I really like this Goldust, actually. I'm actually kind of excited to see what Goldust and RTruth are going to do in their match against each other. So after the promo, we go back to the whole Miz thing, and Angle's pissed at the Miz for getting involved in Ambrose's match. And the Miz claims that, like, where were you when Dean Ambrose ruined my in-ring celebration? I know where you were. You were dealing with personal problems. You were too busy with your personal problems to come help me, and that's something I'm actually intrigued about. Like, does Miz actually know about Angle's personal problems, or is he just saying that just to be like, you're too busy dealing with your own stuff to actually do your fucking job? That might be what he's saying, but if it's not, and Miz actually knows something, that could actually get very interesting. Then we have a bit with Noam Dar and Cedric Alexander. This was an okay segment. Basically, Noam Dar is FaceTiming with Alicia Fox. Cedric says, I'm over you guys. Just stop it. I'm tired of dealing with you two. Just stop. And apparently, they revealed that at some point they had a match against each other, and Cedric Alexander just leaves while Noam Dar and Alicia Fox continue to argue. Anyway, after a commercial break, Cedric Alexander comes out to the ring, and then after Alexander's entrance is done, Noam Dar is coming out to the ring while still FaceTiming Alicia Fox. They're arguing with each other, and Alicia Fox essentially costs Noam Dar the match because, she just will not stop arguing with Noam Dar. Because basically, Noam Dar is he's in the ring, his entrance is over, he's still arguing with Alicia Fox, and he's trying to tell her, hey, I got a match, I gotta stop, I got a match. Alicia Fox would just not stop arguing with him. You're stressing me. It is actually kind of funny, but I feel like it would be funnier if I had background on it. Which, to be fair, I'm not watching 205 Live, and I'm not watching Raw on a regular basis, so yeah. Anyway, what happens is Noam Dar puts the cell phone down, bell rings, Cedric Alexander just immediately hits Noam Dar with a finisher because Noam Dar wasn't expecting it. 1, 2, 3. Cedric Alexander wins. and Alicia Fox and Noam Dar continue to bicker. I have this note here that reads, back to commercial. What was that, 4 minutes? Because because here's the thing. The bit before, where Noam Dar and Cedric Alexander were like talking to each other in the locker room, that was its own segment. Commercial break. Then we have that little bit where they both get their entrance, and Noam Dar argues with Alicia Fox for a bit. Cedric hits his finisher on Noam Dar. Another commercial. I mean, seriously, I know this is... this actually reminds me of the main event. I know this is a 3-hour Raw, and you have to fill up time, which I'm going to have a real problem with later on in this video. But did you really need to fill up time that desperately? Anyway, they come back from the commercial, and they have this Roman Reigns video package. Roman Reigns is the greatest thing in the world. Oh my God, Roman Reigns is the greatest wrestler ever. Oh my God, oh, he's the best. Oh my God, he'll be back next week to announce his SummerSlam plans. I am going to save this for later, because they say this exact same shit later in the episode. So, page 2 of the notes. Wyatt is talking on the Titantron, and then he does that little what thing was like flashes like various shots of stuff, and for some reason Orton made up like half of it, and I don't mean like Orton getting beat up consisted of half of it. I mean like Orton was in half of it, like he was still part of the Wyatt family. Kevin, you want to fix that? I mean, if you don't want to fix that, then maybe it's time to retire. I mean, I'd be more than happy to take up the role as head editor for WWE. I'd be more than happy to do that. I made a ECW mini documentary that was about 10 minutes long. That was actually pretty good. And it's on my Vimeo. But anyway, Wyatt comes down to the ring, and he has this promo against Rollins stating that Rollins took my name in vain. He's basically saying he's God, and that Rollins took his name in vain. And that's why Rollins got the crap beat out of him last week. Then Rollins comes down to the ring and says, like, I wasn't lying. I wasn't shouting blasphemy. I was telling the truth. And, well, actually, he started it by saying that if me calling you a few names gets under your skin, maybe you're not actually God. And basically Rollins says, hey, I mean, if you got a problem with anything I'm saying, I'm right here, I'm alone, come at me. Then Wyatt claims that Rollins is too proud, and he does this little thing where, like, his Titantron flashes on the screen. It goes dark. Titantron flashes again. Lights come back on. He's gone. Lights flash again. The Titantron flashes again, and now he's on the Titantron. I don't remember what he said, but that was actually a decent segment. It's just that it was so lacking in tension. It didn't really seem all that important. And I actually completely forgot about it up until I read it in my notes. Right, then there's an interview with the Hardys that I really can't remember. I'm sorry, this is 3 hours, and at this point, the fatigue really started to set in, because 3 hours is just too much time. It's just too much. Okay, I'm sorry, but like a 3-hour Raw, no. All right. I guess they go to commercial, and then they have a little video package showing that Cena will be returning on Independence Day. Rather on the Independence Day episode of SmackDown. And then it is Callisto versus Apollo Crews. And again, I don't know. I don't watch Raw on a regular basis, so I have no idea what was going on with this Titus Brand thing or Apollo Crews or anything like that. But apparently, Titus O'Neil is looking to become manager to a bunch of WWE superstars, and he actually managed to get Apollo Crews to agree to it. And he is apparently also looking to get Akira Tozawa to sign with Titus Brand as well. And basically the idea is that, like, I will show you the success you can have as part of Titus Brand by showing you what another member of Titus Brand, Apollo Crews, can do now that he's joined. So he has a match against Callisto. It's actually a very short match, but a decent one. It's a good match. I don't have any problems with it. I actually have a note here specifically that says Callisto is pretty good. So yeah, I actually really like this match. Nothing special, but good match. One problem I had with it is that Apollo Crews actually beat Callisto clean, even though I mean, it seemed like Apollo Crews was like a heel here. And like, I had this mentality that heels should not really go over faces clean, at least not in the manner Apollo did. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just spouting nonsense. Anyway, after the match, Titus picks up Tozawa, throws him into the ring, raises his hand, starts taking pictures with him, Tozawa, and Crews, and Tozawa is just really confused. Like, get off of me! Get off of me! What are you doing? Get off of me! Leave me alone! And I thought that was alright. And now we're back to The Miz. The Miz is talking to Heath Slater and Rhino, and The Miz looks at Heath Slater and he says, "Slater, you were the SmackDown Tag Team Champions back when you were over there. I need someone to help me out. Do you think you could help me out?" Now, my first question is, why are you going to Slater when you have Rhino, a much bigger, stronger guy, the muscle of the team, right there? He's a former hardcore and ECW champion. What are you doing? I mean, don't get me wrong, Heath Slater is by no means a bad talent. But at the same time, they seem to be pushing that with the Slater and Rhino tag team, that Rhino is the more competent member of the team, with Slater just being like the punching bag and the mouthpiece, while occasionally showing support for when Rhino gets outnumbered. But yeah, Slater says that he might consider it if Miz gives him a Intercontinental Championship match. However, Rhino keeps saying, no, Miz. Slater already has a partner, and that's me. Alright? And if you got a problem with that, well, guess what? You and I can have a tag team match, okay? Me and Slater versus you and one partner of your choosing. Like, I'm going to go with Kurt Angle, and I'm going to make that official. So, yeah, that basically happened. Oh, God, I'm terrible at these transitions. Hopefully I'll get better with time. Alright, then I'm guessing we have another commercial break. And then when we come back, Alexa Bliss comes down to the ring. And then she has this promo saying, like, I was forced to defend my championship against Nia Jax last week, only a day after defending it against Bayley. Like, why? Why? That was not fair, but that doesn't matter now. I'm not obliged to do any kind of wrestling tonight, so let's just sit here and talk. Just enjoy the presence of Alexa Bliss. And Nia Jax takes exception to being told that her match with Alexa Bliss was forced, because apparently Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss has a thing where, like, they are friends, and I don't know where that came from, because from what I've been hearing from the past couple weeks when it comes to Raw, again, I don't watch it, but I hear things about each show, Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss didn't really hang out that much prior prior to Alexa Bliss's title match with Bayley. Although then again, I don't remember Extreme Rules all that well either, so maybe Nia Jax helped her out. I don't know. And Nia Jax basically scares Bliss, but Bliss, like backs off, like no, like did I say forced? I meant honored. And yeah, and then Mickie James and Dana Brooke come out, and they confront Bliss, saying, "Yeah, you said all those things, and you're trying to put the blame on us. No, that's not how it's gonna work." Bliss tries to defend herself, but then Emma comes down to the ring, and she says, "I want a women's title match." I mean, she says more than that, but she basically sums it up. Like, I don't give a crap about all this drama. Just give me a women's title match right now. And then Sasha Banks comes down to the ring. She says some things like, oh, we're just talking to each other. We're all saying, like, why we should get a shot at the women's championship. Well, I'm just going to punch you in the face and start a brawl. And that's exactly what happens. She punches Bliss in the face and starts a brawl. Then there's a commercial break, and I'm like, this is very poorly timed. Like, this brawl just broke out and you're going to commercial. I'm going to get to this. And apparently, during the commercial break, because we... This 3-hour Raw mentality is really pissing me off. Just from this one episode. Anyway, apparently during the commercial break, because we don't have enough time to put it during the fucking show, Kurt Angle comes out and makes his 6-woman brawl an official 6-woman tag team match. And it's a decent match. I can't really say I hated it, though I can't really remember any spots per se. Then again, I think I may have been a little too busy with the note-taking to actually notice that. Maybe I should get someone else to help me out with this. As Emma is about to tag in Alexa Bliss so she can take over, Alexa Bliss gets off the apron like, no. She walks back up the ramp. She does not want in this match. And she just kind of stands on the entrance ramp, just watching the rest of the match. Eventually, Sasha Banks makes Emma tap out, and Banks, Mickie James, and Dana Brooke, they win the match. And I have this note here, feeling fatigued from long show. Oh, yes. Yes, I am. Then I have another note, Balor video package. This is basically a video package saying that Finn Balor is a very great talent. He will be returning. Just you wait. And yeah, then we move on to a... Notes, stop folding. Then we move on to a interview by Corey... an interview where Corey Graves interviews Bayley. No, he's not going to interview anyone when he's doing an interview. God. Corey Graves basically asks the question, we kept asking, could you go extreme if you really needed to? And prior to your match at Extreme Rules, you said, yes, I can go extreme if it's really necessary. I can go extreme. I'm not afraid to use the kendo stick. She was afraid to use the kendo stick. And then Corey Graves asks Bayley to explain herself. And she goes, yeah, I thought I could do it, but I really couldn't. I did what I thought I did what I think anyone else would do in that situation. I'm not here to hurt people. I'm here to entertain people. And that's basically just the gist of it. That is the gist. Along with some, I will be Raw Women's Champion again, and I want to be the best. And I'm going to keep trying to be the best. And then the interview ends on a hug, which confuses and baffles the hell out of Corey Graves. Anyway, now we're going to move on to the tag team match between Heath, Slater, Rhino, Miz, and Bear. Yes, Miz's tag team partner is the Dancing Bear from last week's episode. At first, I thought this was Dean Ambrose, but after something that we saw later in the match, it's clear that it wasn't, at least not until later in the match. Anyway, the crowd is... I mean, like, the second the match starts, the crowd starts chanting, "Bear," and "We want Bear." This is professional wrestling, people. This is professional wrestling. God, I can already tell this is a boring video. Because Miz doesn't really think he stands a chance with the dancing bear in his corner, he tries to get Slater to agree to, hey, let's switch. Like, you can be my tag team partner, and Bear can be with Rhino. And Slater thinks about it for a bit, but ultimately declines, and the match goes on as normal. Anyway, the Miz gets beat up, and then when he gets back to his corner, the Bear steals a tag, and he actually does a decent job. I mean, he does okay. And it's at this moment where I'm comparing the height of Heath Slater to the height of the Bear, and I realize that's not Dean Ambrose in the Bear suit. Because Dean Ambrose is shorter than that. And what do you know? The Miz pulls the Bear out of the ring, beats him up a bit, pulls off the mask. It's not Dean Ambrose. Now, at this point, I got kind of distracted writing my notes, because as I was writing, "Stop the Bear puns," Miz is in the ring with Heath Slater, and the Bear is in the ring as well. And the Bear does Dean Ambrose's finisher to Heath Slater. Now I'm really confused because I didn't see when the switch was made. So, yeah, I have no idea what happened there. I probably should have rewind. But, no, I was already feeling fatigued from watching like an hour of that stuff. I think it was actually a half hour by this point. And, yeah, I just got really tired of all the Bear puns commentary was doing. And Slater stayed down for quite a long time, like a minute and a half, to the point where I'm thinking, is Slater dead? Is he dead? But no, he wasn't dead, because he miraculously woke up the second the bell rang. Apparently, a wrestling bell is the ultimate alarm clock. Yeah, because Dean hits Slater with his finisher, and then Dean hits Miz with his finisher. Dean pulls Slater over Dean, and that ends the match. Because Miz isn't able to, because that's technically a pin, Miz isn't able to kick out for the 3, and Slater and Rhino win. And after that, Dean Ambrose puts the bear mask on the Miz, and then walks away. And as the Miz starts to, wake back up, he takes off the mask, and he's staring at the mask, just so fucking pissed off. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to see a guy in a bear suit just haunt Miz until SummerSlam. Like, I don't want this to be like a long time thing. I don't want this to be like James Ellsworth, where this goes on for a very long time. But at the very least, until SummerSlam. At the very least. And even then, I don't want it that much. I just kinda want it to go there. And I have this note here, and after that, I just have this note. It's really called Great Balls of Fire, and I'm just imagining. And at this point, every time I feel like, I mean, every time I hear the name of the pay-per-view, Great Balls of Fire, I just get this image of Vince McMahon in his office. Balls! Testicles! So, yeah. We get a video package for the Hardy Boys versus Cesaro, as I call them. Tag team match later tonight, where it's going to be a tag team title match. Oh boy, I got a lot of things. I got the match itself. Okay, spoilers. the Hardy Boys versus Cesaro match, in and of itself, is fun. Okay, I have no problems with the match itself. It's with how it was handled by the production team and the booking team. Oh. But anyway, back on topic. Commercial break. And when we come back, we have Adrian Neville already in the ring, his music playing. Why is the Cruiserweight Champion given a jobber entrance? Why is the Cruiserweight Champion's entrance happening during the fucking commercials? Why? You want people to take the Cruiserweight Championship seriously, and you're having the Cruiserweight Champion come out during the fucking commercial. Are you fucking serious? God damn it. So anyway, it's supposed to be Neville versus Rich Swann, but while Swann is doing his dance, Neville attacks him and basically destroys him. He puts him in the rings of Saturn. And I don't think... Does he make him tap? I don't know. But basically, it's gotten to a point where it's like... I mean... He kept it on long enough for him to get heel points. Let me just put it like that. And he says that it feels good to be king. Austin Aries, TJP, Rich Swann, none of them can stand up to Adrian Neville. And then he has a promo against Akira Tozawa, where he's like, Akira Tozawa, you are apparently going to be the next person in line to contend for my Cruiserweight Championship. You are going to feel that... I mean, again, I'm oversimplifying the promos. But he says that you will feel the same pain Austin Aries, TJP, and Rich Swann have felt. Then we have an interview with Cesaro, and Cesaro says that, we've been preparing for this match, and to help me prepare for this match, I actually read the Hardy Boys biography book. And it is incredibly stupid. Again, oversimplifying, but please forgive me. It was a decent interview, but again, nothing special. Anyway, then we have Enzo and Cass versus the Club after we come back from a commercial break. Oh god, this has been going on for 30 minutes. And I still feel like I'm rushing it. And we have a replay from last week where someone is attacking, Cass from behind, and we don't know who it is. And Enzo manages to get the Big Show as his tag team partner for his match against the Club that night. And they win. They manage to beat the Club. However, this week, again, Enzo and Cass, just Big Cass. Big Cass is attacked, doesn't know who. He said he was hit from behind. It was the hardest he's ever been hit in his entire life. And essentially, it's very clear that Cass is not 100% for this match. But he goes out to the ring with Enzo Amore to go up against the Club anyway. But because Big Cass is weakened from the attack he suffered earlier in the night from the back of the head, the Club he's not able to really stay in the match for that long. He tags in Enzo. Well, he doesn't tag in Enzo because the two of them never make physical contact throughout the match. That there was no tag, there was no physical contact made, but the ref calls for the tag anyway, so whatever. If you're wondering what that squeaking is, that is my swivel chair. Anyway, Enzo actually manages to do a good job standing up against the Club. That is until the Club hit him with their tag team finisher. 1, 2, 3. The Club wins, and they're about to set Enzo up for another tag finisher when the Big Show comes out, scares the Club away. It feels like the Club is just kind of an accessory in this storyline right now, which is not a good thing. And, the Big Show... I'm just trying to catch up to where I am in the notes. It's funny, I thought Big Show was supposed to retire at WrestleMania 33, but apparently that wasn't in the plans. Although then again, can you really blame Big Show for not wanting to retire at WrestleMania 34, especially when he gets overshadowed by Ron Gronkowski, fucking and guy who's never been fucking. That was months ago. Let's continue. Anyway, I wrote down here that I at the moment, the storyline with Enzo and Cass, with Cass constantly getting attacked from behind, is really stupid. And I think I know where it's going to go, with the Big Show being the one behind the attacks all the time, as it's his 50,000th heel turn. And, yeah. However, if they didn't go there, I saw this game being very interesting. I know that the odds of it not going there are slim, but if it doesn't go there, then this could be very interesting. Unfortunately, after we come back from commercial break, we have a promo, a good promo by RTruth, where he's basically saying, Goldust, you betrayed me. I'm going to kick your ass. Again, oversimplifying the promos a bit, but and yeah. Then when we come back, then when that's over, we have a little bit of a thing with Enzo and Big Show, where Enzo is thanking Big Show for, coming and backing him up. But then Enzo asks, I just got to hear from your mouth. Were you the one who attacked Cass? Everything seems to be pointing at you. And at first, Big Show gets pissed. And the second he gets pissed, I thought, yes, they're going exactly where I think where they're going with this. And this storyline is going to suck because of it. Great. So, yeah. Anyway, we have an interview with Samoa Joe, where Joe basically says that everything, when it comes to the mind games that he's playing with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, they're going perfectly. They're going exactly how he wanted them to go. Because last week, Paul Heyman came out by himself. And the fact that Paul Heyman came out this week with Brock Lesnar backing him up, it shows that they're scared. It shows that he's scared and the mind games are starting to work. Alright. Now, after this interview, we finally have the entrances for the main events. And I believe Raw is technically 3 hours, 5 minutes long. I think that's how it is technically. And about 20-25 minutes before the end of the show, so about 25 minutes in the normally scheduled amount of time that WWE has to show their episode of Raw, the entrances for the main event, which I will remind you in case you didn't watch Raw, or in case I mentioned it before. I'm pretty sure I didn't mention it before, but basically, this is a 2 out of 3 falls match. So this match, by its very nature, is going to be longer than most matches. Add in the fact that it's a title match, and this is going to be a very long match, and you have 25 minutes to get all the entrances done, and actually have the match. And what do they do when the Hardy Boys come down to the ring? Commercial break. Lovely. Just fucking lovely. So we come back from commercial break, and it's not just immediately where we left off. We get the same video package from earlier in the night saying, oh my god, Roman Reigns is the greatest thing ever. Oh my god, best wrestler of all time, Roman Reigns. He'll be back next week to announce his plans for SummerSlam. And now here comes the rant. Alright, so I'm actually re-recording this bit, mainly because the first time I did it, I overreacted for the sake of comedy. I guess because I figured that I'm doing kind of a review thing. I'm very much used to watching like Nostalgia Critic, Linkara, and other reviewers where they kind of exaggerate their anger and a lot of their other feelings for the sake of getting a laugh. But I don't want that to be this show. I really don't. So I'm actually going to re-record this bit and this rant and another rant that I have later in the episode for the sake of just making the show more of what I actually want it to be. If you really want, I can upload the original takes later, but for now, this is what we're doing. Okay, so for the second time tonight, there's this video package that emphasizes just how great of a wrestler Roman Reigns is and how we should care about what his SummerSlam plans are. Despite the fact that the next pay-per-view that the Raw Superstars are going to be at is Great Balls of Fire. Just because I'm going to skip over Great Balls of Fire entirely. Actually, let me look something up real fast. I'm going to edit this out because if he's injured, then that makes sense. No, I'm seeing nothing suggesting that Roman Reigns is injured, which would excuse that problem. Basically, what they're doing is they're shoving Roman Reigns down the throat of the fans. They're trying to convince them that Roman is the greatest wrestler to have ever lived. Thing is, fans don't like that. You'll notice that you did that with Cena and the fans didn't respond to him well either. However, when you stopped doing that with Cena, when you stopped trying to convince the fans that he was the greatest wrestler of all time, and that he's the number one guy, and that he's the one you should like, it didn't happen right away, but the fans started to get behind him. Yeah, I mean, it didn't happen right away. In fact, there are still a large amount of Cena haters out there, but I think it's gotten to a point where there are enough people cheering for Cena, or at the very least wanting to support Cena, that it doesn't matter. And even then, I mean, I've heard people who say that they actually really like Cena now, but they boo him anyway just because, like, that's the reputation he's built up, and it's just more fun to do that. And that is something that they actually did for a little bit with Roman Reigns. There was a time in which Roman was not pushed as the greatest thing ever in WWE. And when he wasn't pushed as the greatest thing ever in WWE, fans got behind him. Even as recently as Roman's feud with Rusev last year. He wasn't in the main event. WWE wasn't shoving down our throats how fucking amazing Roman is, and the fans started to get behind him. And then they started shoving him down our throats again. And we started to hate him again. That is the problem. Now, granted, Roman Reigns is by no means an amazing wrestler. However, I don't think he's a terrible wrestler either. Honestly, I think he's just about decent. And to be fair, I would be willing to give him a shot in the main event, so long as he wasn't shoved down our throats. And that's why people are getting behind Jinder Mahal. Basically, or at least I think people are getting behind Jinder Mahal. I haven't heard the same contempt for Jinder Mahal as I have heard for Roman Reigns, even though they're in very similar situations. Because WWE is not pushing Jinder Mahal as the greatest thing ever. They're not pushing him as one of the greatest of all time. And that's why people are getting behind him. Jinder Mahal is not being shoved down the fans' throats, essentially. So, yeah, that's my thought on that. Let's get to the next segment. Anyway, rant over. Let's get back to the show and prepare for yet another match. So they come back from the commercial break with what? 15 minutes left? Actually, no. Technically, they had 10 minutes left. They went about 5 minutes over. No joke. Because I had to do something, I actually missed the beginning of Raw, and I had to wake up pretty early today to watch it. So instead, what I did was I recorded Monday Night Raw, and I watched it. I literally just finished watching it like an hour ago. More like an hour and a half ago. So, yeah. For a 2 out of 3 falls match, they really rushed this. Who thought that you could give a 2 out of 3 falls match the same amount of time as a normal match? So, match starts, and it's actually a pretty good match. It's a good match. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I actually recommend checking it out. Like, it's not going to be a match of the year candidate. I give it like 4 stars. 4 stars or like an 8 out, more like a 7.5 out of 10. It's a good match. If it's up on YouTube, go check out. Go check it out on YouTube. And it actually included a nice spot in the match where Jeff Hardy goes through this thing where as he's being thrown, as he's being Irish whipped into the corner, he like just kind of like pushes the momentum upward so he can go over Sheamus, but Sheamus stops and bro kicks him in the stomach as he's coming down. That was a good spot. Sheamus then pins Jeff for the 1-2-3 and gets the first fall. Alright, re-recording this too because, again, this is the second rant of... this is the second rant of the video, and this one is very over-emotional. Again, the original take was very over-emotional. I don't want that to be the show. So, let's just call it like it is. This really annoyed me. This one match in particular really annoyed me. Mainly because of the fact that it felt like... to be fair, the match itself is great. The match itself is a good match. I actually recommend you go see it. The problem is that it feels like this match, out of everything on the show, this match was at the bottom of WWE's priority list. Which doesn't make any sense. At all. You have a title match. This is your main event. You've been building this up the entire night as your main event. It is a title match. And one of the teams involved in this, again, title match, are the Hardy Boys. One of the most nostalgic properties for you right now. And they're coming off the broken gimmick. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense for this to be at the bottom of the priorities list. And I think this because not only did they interrupt the entrances with a commercial break, they interrupt the match itself with a commercial break, even though you only have about 20 minutes to get all the entrances and the match itself done. And and let me remind you, this is a 2 out of 3 falls match. So this match, in and of itself, is going to be longer than your normal match. Add in the fact that it's a title match, and yeah, it's going to be even longer. So it makes no sense for it to feel so freaking rushed, especially when you have 3 hours of programming, especially when you have a 3-hour time slot. And here's the thing, you want to know what took priority over this match? Telling us for the second time tonight that Roman Reigns is going to be here next week to announce not even his plans for Great Balls of Fire, not even to get involved in a storyline for that. That was more important than the tag team title match. But also an ad for Pizza Hut featuring Noam Dar and the Club was more important than the Raw tag team title match. That really it angered me. The fact that I'm re-recording this because see, here's the thing. I'm not even sure my rant against my first recording for this was really an overreaction. I think I was just that pissed at it. Again, maybe I'm just immature, but no. If this is the main event of the night, it's a title match, especially featuring the guys who are in the match, and the type of stipulation, this has not have been so rushed. This should have been higher up on the priorities list. Anyway, with some help from Jeff, Matt manages to get the second fall on Cesaro. Match goes on for another few minutes. Eventually, both tag teams are outside the ring. Ref starts counting. And he gets to the 10. The match is a draw by double countout. The brawl continues until eventually the Hardys get the upper hand and they're standing tall in the ring. Whereas, while Sheamus and Cesaro are still the Raw Tag Team Champions, they have been defeated. Anyway, that's basically me rambling about the June 13th, 2017... 13th? No. June 12th. Have I been saying June 13th this entire time? I apologize for that. I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah. The episode started out pretty good, but as time went on, fatigue started to set in. Actually, the Miz Dean stuff was pretty good, actually. But, yeah. There are a lot of problems, especially the fact that they had to rush the last bit of a 3-hour wrestling show. So, yeah. I'll be back tomorrow for SmackDown. And, I'll see you guys then.